very warm welcome to the maiden edition of the program Thompson and the Gang on Rave 91.7 FM, the station that defines your moment. I remain yours sincerely, Thompson Taiwo is my name. Thompson and the Gang is a socio-political discussion program where we'll be putting in perspective some of the major happenings in the polity during the week, with a special focus on happenings in our locality. Before I take you to some of the major events that happened during the week, let me remind you that today, January 27, is the local government elections in Osun State. At the appropriate time, I will be asking my gang of public analysts their expectations of today's elections. Back to some of the major events that happened during the week. The Defense Minister blames herdsmen killings on anti-grazing laws, route blockage. Air-Fire's committee submit reports on restructuring, makes recommendations. Ex-SDF Babachir Lawal released on bail. Obasanjo writes Buhari, asks President to halt 2019 ambition. These are the issues I will be engaging my gang of public analysts on this morning on the program Thompson and the Gang on Rave 91.7 FM. In the studio with me this morning are Mr. Assis Badmus, a private businessman, Mr. Bukola Ido, a development worker, and also Dr. Adioye Oyewole, a medical doctor and public commentator. These are members of my gang this morning on Thompson and the Gang on Rave 91.7 FM. You are listening to Thompson and the Gang on Rave 91.7 FM. It is more than just a conversation. We'll be back. Welcome back to Thompson and the Gang of Rave 91.7 FM. Don't forget, at the appropriate time, you will have the opportunity to join our conversation. I will call the numbers later. The much awaited Osun State local government elections will hold today as scheduled by OSEC. The election will hold in 71 out of the 389 wards in the state, and the election is being contested by 6 political parties. Dr. Oyewole, Osun State will make history today as the first state in Nigeria that will be holding parliamentary election after a long time, and which we usher in parliamentary system at the local government level. Why is the Osun State government jettisoning the presidential system of government at the local level?
Yes, thank you. It's a very crucial question you are raising, and for the state executive, the leader of the government at the state level, I'm not too strong when it comes to legal issues. I wouldn't know whether there's any provision in the Constitution that permits that kind of an innovation. And if there's no provision like that, of course, I think there should be some worry. But if I think the Constitution permits and then makes that possible, why not? Because if it is parliamentary, it means that among the people that are elected will be the people who will actually elect the chairman. So for me, it's a technical issue. Maybe as the discussion rolls on, we'll get some technical advice about it. So that's the little I can say about the election for now.
Mr. Badmont, well, what is your take on that?
It's a very sensitive issue, and I don't really know where the government is going towards, as in what they are trying to achieve with this. So I think I'm going to go with Dr. Iwole. As time goes on, probably we'll shed some more light on it. And
okay, Mr. Bukolado.
Well, I think the debate is going to still go on for a long time, and because some of the lawyers, I've listened to one or two lawyers, and some of them argue for and some argue against, and the people that argue for believe that the government is not really doing anything illegal, and in that regard, and that is why the thing can actually skate through. But on the other hand, the provision said that, okay, look, you are to vote in a chairman. But the question now is this: if you are voting, if they are going to now vote the chairman, who is going to be in the hands of affairs of the local government. Don't forget, local government is a combination of a lot of towns, villages, and a whole lot of that. Now, don't forget that the councillor they are voting for today is coming also from a particular ward or a particular location. Then who among you now emerge among his colleagues to be the chairman? Now, are we going to say that that person that we emerge as the chairman is actually being voted for generally?
But
this has been the for and against the argument, but I feel it's still going to be lingering on in the political domain for a long time.
Dr. Iwale, the argument in some quarters is that this system of government will reduce cost of governance that Nigerians are complaining about.
Yes, of course. If you look at it, it comes across as very innovative. Something that apparently will also bring in a lot of challenges, even to local government administration. Because I'm imagining in a kind of a multi-party system that we operate in Nigeria. I imagine the councillors, the fact that the councillors are a party, has a majority of councillors, may not even provide that there would be room for that party providing the chairman. What of if there are collaborations and some kinds of networking within the among the councillors? You understand what I'm saying? And then preferring another person. So for me, it's quite innovative if it is properly done. It's quite innovative if the procedures are valid. Because like Mr. Idowu said, that what was said was that the chairman should be voted for. Now, apparently, the technicality is that the time interval is not stated, whether it's going to be together with the councillors, and that has been the practice before now. Whether it is after the councillors are now voted that we're going to now have the chairman. Now, the technicality is where the issue is. And of course, if it is not just going to be that the councillors alone, it means we expect that the councillors are the chairman is also going to be voted in at the same time. Now, which is now a different form from what we're going to have today.
Okay, let me go back to Mr. C's Badmos. Don't you think the novelty of the election is good for the polity?
Sorry, come again.
Don't you think the novelty of the election is good for the polity? trying to try a new thing, though not really new, because parliamentary system of government was practiced in the 60s, but we are bringing it back now. Don't you think this novelty is good for the polity?
Well, personally, like I said earlier, it's a very sensitive issue, and I think for this kind of parliamentary elections and to change the system, there will be the pros and cons, and right now I don't actually know where the government is going about it, and it's not really my strong area. So
it's not a strong area.
I'll just wait and see.
Okay. Now, Mr. Abukolaido, talking about this election, the Osun State government has been berated in some quarters for declaring 2 days as public holidays for a local government poll. Does it make sense for any government to declare long holidays for a local government election?
Well, it depends on from which side we are looking at it. If you want to look at it from the moral side of the angle or the legal side of the whole issue, the legal side, I mean, do you think the governor have the right to declare that holiday? I would say yes, because that is still within his constitution.
I'm not talking about rights.
Yes,
does it make
actually
sense?
building up my case. Of course, yes, he has the right. But the question now is this: if you look at it economically, is it really good? We can say no. 2 days for what? And we don't even enjoy that kind of holiday when we have the national election.
Because even for a governorship election, 1 day is usually declared. So for a local government election, what?
Some people will even say sarcastically that for a councillorship election, you understand, it's not even the local government, because the chairman is not going to be voted for. The councillors are going to post today. So we can now say, okay, for the councillor election, we are going to declare 2 days public holiday. But at the same time, I also on another side, we're still going to say, well, fine, probably demanded it with good intention, in good faith, in the sense that, okay, you want people that need to travel, settle down, use the opportunity to get your PVC, settle down, and then you should now be able to participate. We are actually talking about participation. But for me, I have always been an advocate that we don't need to cripple the economy because we are just elected few.
Dr. Iwale, if you were the governor of the state, would you have declared 2 days?
Yes, it's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult for me to take a position, but I mean, like what we're doing something new. Maybe the governor is looking at the fact that people need to get it right. Maybe some kind of education, a few more, maybe that's why he added the other 1 day, because this is new for most of us. This is new. So it's possible that the wisdom that gave way to that decision could be, but because it's new, it's something new, needed some people to settle down, people to get to understand it and all that. But I'm curious about, maybe our discussion is going to get there. The APC released something yesterday about their review, something about constitutional review or something.
Exactly.
And of course, they're not even in support of local government autonomy.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay? Oh, sorry,
we'll talk about
maybe
that.
Maybe I'm just jumping. With the
we'll talk about it today. But Mr. Seeds, you're a businessman. 2 days to you. What do 2 days mean to you? Not using 2 days to work.
Well, 2 days, okay, like there's a saying, time is money. Every second counts. 2 days to me doesn't make sense. A day, fine, since it's even coming up on a weekend, and you could easily conduct elections Saturday, or, well, some people will argue against Sunday, so let's say Saturday, and give Friday as public holiday. Thursday is a working day. There are a lot of things we do on Thursdays. For example, traders who's definitely going to trade on Wednesday and try to deposit on Thursday, they won't be able to do that. Thursday they're still going to trade, and it's still going to, so they'll have backlog of cash with them till Monday. How are they going to feel secured where all the security?
So it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Simple. It doesn't make sense.
Okay. Now, I'll go back to Dr. Iwale. How do you expect voters and politicians to comport themselves in today's elections?
Oh, peaceful as ever. There's nothing as good as peace. The country is actually threatened. The security is threatened. The herdsmen attacks, the Boko Haram menace, and there's nothing that's positive that could happen when there's insecurity. So I think people need to comport themselves with a lot of dignity and a lot of peace. We need a peaceful coexistence. For me, I think voters, all the people that will be involved, should be as much as possible be peaceful about this election, please.
Okay, Mr. Bukolaido, what roles do you think OSEC and the security agent should play in today's parliamentary elections?
Well, basically, what I'm expecting from them is just the role of an unbiased referee, as it were, and they just want a situation because there has been an allegation that most of the state INEC, state control electoral body always tend towards obeying the dictates of the sitting governor. And what we expect is that we expect this OSEC to take the bull by the horn and be as unbiased as possible as far they can do, because most times, if you have this, then it's going to give credibility to this election. Likewise, also the security agencies.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for that. Let's go to the second issue that we have today. The Minister of Defense, Mansour Dan Ali, on Thursday described the blockage of grazing routes across the country as the remote cause of recent killings in Benue and Taraba State. He also identified the implementation of anti-grazing laws in some states as the immediate cause of killings. The statement by the Defense Minister seems to be justifying the many killings by suspected Fulani herdsmen, with no words of condolence to the families of the victims. Should the minister make such a statement at a time when people are still ailing? Dr. Iwale.
Yes, the minister has made a statement. In psychology, that's what we call the slip of the tongue. And we say there's no slip of the tongue. A lot of people are worried that he made such a statement, but I'm not worried. I'm not worried because the majority of the people that had to sit down to take decisions about the herdsman killing are actually Fulanis, from what we had. So it is difficult for them, because one of the things that is going on, and I think the government must move fast to correct, is to be able to detach from what may look like nepotism, where you are having some people who are deciding about a particular menace, and it's about their brothers. So that statement is a manifestation of the fear that people had actually expressed in the appointment of the president, in terms of the people in the upper echelon of his government. And so he is talking in the defense of his kinsmen. The statement is angry. He doesn't see why other people will complain about what has happened. So for me, he's overtaken by his sentiment, and that legitimately, because these are his kinsmen. And for me, this is a little bit a deviation from what we call democracy. Democracy is supposed to be a lot of other views of the people coming together and looking at issues dispassionately, just like we are discussing here. All of us are not going to agree on the same point, the same way. This is how governance should be. And then, of course, the strongest point should be the one that will fly. But in this situation, it is almost the whole people, the people that are deciding are from the same. And so what he has written is almost like not coming from the federal government. It's coming from the leaders of that particular tribe, making a case for their own people.
For their own people.
Yeah, and it's a sad situation.
Mr. Bukolaido, could the defense minister be said to have spoken the mind of the federal government on the increasing cases of killings by suspected Fulani herdsmen?
Well, I want to believe that, and the reason why I'm saying that is that because he actually made this. It was a press statement. It was there, the press. He was not even talking to his friend. He's not even saying this is my personal opinion. And but one thing that really baffled me while he was talking is about the coordination of the information. Don't forget, few weeks before he said what we are discussing now, the IGP said, the Inspector General of Police said, this issue was a communal clash. At the end of the day, he came out to apologize to the people of Benue for that statement. Now, don't forget also, the same defense minister also said this is a pure communal clash. I was watching here and said this is pure communal clash. And at the same time, he was still now talking about, anti-grazing law is responsible for most of this killing. That is just so unfortunate where we have leaders, begin to talk from the two sides of the mouth. You say this is a communal clash. You now say, okay, the killing is also facilitated by the anti-grazing law. So which one are you really proposing? And being that as it may, I think this is not really, really good for Nigeria. And that is why most people have been talking about, look, you can't have the core security apparatus coming from a particular set of a set of people from the nation. So what it means is that we are not likely going to have diverse opinion on issues. We are not likely, and there is this tendency for us to be biased because they are my kinsmen, they are my, So I feel probably we need a rejig and in that particular security apparatus so that we can have a balanced view of things.
Mr. Sis Badmos, how more nepotic can government functionary be? Because he more or less excused the herdsmen. Was this responsible of the Minister of Defense?
Personally, I think it was very responsible of him to say. It's a very offensive statement. People have lost lives, family members, father, mothers, children, homes, and I think the security agencies are being biased in handling these issues. Well, there's a saying, I believe there's a saying that when government fails to protect the people take laws into their hands. And I think Nigeria might be going towards that side because at the point in time when headsmen keep killing people and there is no form of protection from the government, people will definitely stand up and rise up to that occasion. A lot of things that happen in Nigeria, for example, power. Everybody depends on their own gen now. Water, nobody uses the water because when government fails, people take law into their hands. So I think that statement is very irresponsible of him. I think he needs to apologize to people of Benue and Nigeria too.
Okay, now let me go back to Dr. Iwale. Could this mindset be the reason the federal government has not been able to bring punishments to the perpetrators of the killings and justice to the victims?
It's obvious because the perception of the government. That man that spoke, the Minister of Defense, is not speaking on his own capacity. He's speaking for government. It tells you the body language of government with respect to the herdsman killings. I even read, I can't remember precisely how, either is this minister or another person who said that some of these routes around Taraba, Benue, Plateau have been there age long. That these people had already known that these are the routes for the Fulani herdsmen. Why are they blocking it? That is the blockage of those. The tone looks like has a very strong sense of entitlement. Like the routes are their own. No government, no state has a right to block it. And if you block somebody's route that the person is already used to, the necessity is that the person is going to get violent. So for me, they are looking at it from their own perspective, strong protection of their own kingsmen, and they don't see any reason why. Because let's look at the anti-grazing law. Anti-grazing law says that this is my land, please. I want to decide how it is going to be used. And somebody is now saying you don't have a right. Because don't let us say anti. I'm saying, okay, I don't want this portion of my land to be used for this. I think everybody has that right. By the time somebody is beginning to encroach on my land and to do whatever he likes, and I don't have the right, and I'm not going to also fight back or do something, then there's a problem. So this statement, I'm sure, is going to be reviewed. I'm sure quite a number of people will be speaking to government to see that it is provocative. Because people, whether they like it or not, will be a little bit. Each time people even drive now and you see some Fulani people, you are scared. Other than, it didn't used to be like that before. You're not sure whether it is headsmen that are coming again or something. this kind of statements is capable of aggravating a very fragile situation that is on ground.
Okay, Mr. Bukolaido, Taraba State Government, River State Government, Benue State Governor Dr. Samuel Atom, and civil rights groups on Friday berated the Minister of Defense, Masroor Dan Ali, over statements on the killings by suspected herdsmen in the country. Now, let me take you to what the governor of Benue State said. The governor said the minister, the defense minister, is one of the people misinforming President Muhammadu Buhari. What's your take on that?
I perfectly agree. Because if you watch that interview, you will see the passion at which the man was speaking, and you will know that, look, this was not only a statement sent to be delivered. This is someone who is also putting his own opinion into most of them. Have been punished. Nobody has been punished, and that is why this thing keep going on. Now, this year, since the inception of this government alone, within the first 200 days, over 1,000 people were killed, not by Boko Haram. Herdsmen, communal clash, and a whole lot of things. Up till now, who has been in the prison? Now, let's forget about the excesses of the Shiite group. But look at how they have been massacred. Now, and do you expect such a government that massacre its own people to punish the herdsmen? It's not going to happen until we begin to have a rethink, until most of our people now begin to have probably a psychological evaluation of what leadership is all about. So because we can see, until we begin to place value on human life, because I can't imagine why people will die, over 70 people will die in a particular community, and then the first person that put in politics into this, the governor of Plateau State. Then coming down, the president couldn't even go there to visit the place. The president couldn't even make a statement. It was even additional that made the statement on behalf of the government. So what value do we put place on human life? And this is what baffles me. And like what Dr. Aziz said the other time, look, if this thing begin to go on like this, when people begin to see that there is no reward for good behavior, then, and that the people that are being rewarded they are rewarded because of their bad behavior in the past, then I tell you, we are sitting on the keg of gunpowder.
Okay, now, Mr. Aziz, does the statement of the defense minister appear to you as a tacit defense of the federal government failure to protect the life and property of Nigerians?
Well, yes. Even though I might also, to an extent, maybe not disagree, but benefit of the doubt that the minister's statement is not a true reflection of the federal government position. However, the federal government has not.
Are you saying that the statement does not represent the view of the federal government or the position of the federal government?
Of the federal government. However, the federal government has not proven otherwise. They are silent about it.
Yeah. So what the defense minister, because he's speaking as a minister of defense of the Federal Republic. It's difficult. There's this theory we usually give our leaders when things happen. Either we say it didn't get to them, or that maybe they didn't get the proper understanding. Yes, in as much as I know that briefings, feedbacks are very crucial in governance. But these people are not our leaders, presidents, governors. They are not outsiders. They are people who live inside this Nigeria. It's not too difficult, in my own opinion, for people who are in offices to actually get the feel of what is actually going on. I want to believe that His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic, understands what it means for herdsmen to attack. He also understands, there's evidence of burial. When people have to bury about 71 or 72 people, 73 in a day, I think the President should be able to also understand that. And the President should also be able to understand that this is not the first time this is happening. This has happened severally in several places. And this is getting to a point at which lives are being threatened. The security is very fragile. People are scared. I think the President is aware, fully aware, but the position of the Minister of Defense actually is what they feel is the cause of this of this menace. That's just my own opinion concerning this.
Okay.
You know, because yes, Mr. Aziz, I feel strongly that this separation of what people are saying and then the president or the governor, most oftentimes we give our leaders that kind of a soft landing, and I don't think it's particularly very reasonable for them to think that way.
Well, I agree with you, sir. And well, like I said, the federal government has not done anything to prove otherwise.
Yeah,
they keep silent. There's no communication in this government. There's no communication between the government and the people. Yeah. We don't know what is happening. We don't know what is going on. There's no assurance that our lives are safe. If something happens, they keep mute.
Yeah.
And the only time we hear about anything about Nigeria is, oh, well, the president went to Addis Ababa yesterday. I think that's good. Probably we hear something new about Nigeria, because that's the only time we hear anything about Nigeria is when he's out of the country. And I think the president knows what is going on.
He's aware.
And he's very much aware.
He's fully aware. But he has a position.
His position is he doesn't want to make decision in a hurry.
That's the problem.
I don't think he doesn't want to make a decision in a hurry. He made a decision in a hurry when it came to this man, Kanu. Yes.
Yeah,
it was a brutal, very swift reaction. So the question is not that he doesn't want to take a decision in a hurry. I think because in psychology there's what we call defense mechanisms. When you are guilty of a particular thing, what happens is that you begin to rationalize it and give reasons. This is what the organs of government is trying to do, because it's dominated by his own people.
Are you saying that they're trying to theorize the killings?
Oh yes, they're trying to give reasons why it is not something that is serious enough for them to switch into action. That it is not as bad as people are painting it. That's why on one hand they say it's a communal clash. In fact, some people are saying that they have found out that is even Benue, that some people within Benue State who had actually come up to come and kill their own people. There's one theory like that. Some people said they've even found out that it is foreigners, that they don't even know them. Yeah. This kind of theories.
But doctor, you remember he himself said it when he was hosting the APC chieftain in his place. He said, "Look, I have to reflect. I don't want to make decisions." He said it himself. I'm not making this statement.
Are you saying that the government is still reflecting on the killings?
That is what the president said.
If by now the government is reflecting on the killings, then when will the killings stop?
That is what the president said. I'm actually using his exact word, that he doesn't want to make decisions. Because I'm also baffled that suddenly in Benue, in Taraba, in Adamawa, suddenly the crocodile cannot smile again. Yes. Suddenly the python cannot dance again in those places. Now don't forget, look at what is really happening.
Are you alleging double standards?
Obviously. Let me paint a scenario for you. Don't forget, the IGP first of all said, look, this was a communal clash. He apologized. Now, the DSS now came out and said the people that were killing were members of ISIS. They were foreigners. You understand? Now, that was what the DSS said. Now, the question now is this. What is the role of the military? The military is to protect the citizen, this country, against external aggression according to the constitution. Now, this is where we are now going. If DSS report says these people are members of ISIS, foreigners, why will the president deploy police to go and attack, to go and defend against the foreigner, external aggressor, ISIS? Now, so that's purely double standard. And don't forget, IPOP.
Mr. Bakola, the argument is neither here nor there. Because the DSS said the perpetrators are members of Islamic State in West Africa. And later the minister said the killings were because of the blockage of cattle routes. Now we have two narratives.
That has been the problem.
Which are we going to believe?
That has been the problem with APC government. There has not been coordination of information. Yes. That has been the problem from the onset. Don't forget, I have seen the situation where Femi Adesina will come out and say this is it, and at some point the president will say another thing. Gabashio will say another thing. Lai Mohammed will say another thing. And let me give you the three narratives now. Number one, IGP first of all said it was a communal clash. The Minister of Defense said no, it's because of the blockage of the grazing routes. You understand? So he have found that the killing happened because of the blockage of the grazing route. DSS said the people that are killed are not S-men, they are West African ISIS. So which one are we believing from the same government?
I think when the government doesn't want to take responsibility, it's a psychological thing. The government does not want to take responsibility. When they want to take responsibility, they move into action. We're talking about the IPOB one and so many other, swift reactions to issues. But this one, they don't want to take responsibility. And don't forget, like we actually earlier on analyzed, that the people who are involved in taking decisions here are from the same tribe with these people that we are trying to, take on. So it's difficult for
Doctor, that is even too far.
Yeah.
Look at the killings in rivers that happened in the river New Year.
Yeah.
The leader of the court
by Tuesday or so, I think 2 days
was
after,
killed. Swiftly.
We've not had one man being arrested
and
that we are interrogating.
A court, they deploy military to go and terminate the life of the man. A court guy. Now you now say West African ISIS and you are deploying police. No.
Okay, now, Dr. Ewale, let us.
I think Mr. Assis wants to say something. Let's get.
Okay, back in the days when we were in school, we know migration of cattle from Niger down to Nigeria, down to the south. Then it's affected by the weather, the season, in order for them to graze. So that was when they had the grazing routes. They were taught in school back then. Now, that gives me more reason to believe majority of these Fulani herdsmen are not Nigerians. Fulani is like the north towards Niger, a little bit of Benin Republic, and so we have a situation where people who are not mostly Nigerians are claiming land in Nigeria and trying to actually impose grazing on people's farm, and the government is doing nothing about it. I believe it's more sentimental because probably most of the Hausas are into cattle rearing too, and their judgment is being biased. For example, I saw a video a few days ago where the president of Ghana said no grazing, that if you see any cattle on the road, kill it and make suya, turn it to barbecue. You get, that's a government that wants to protect its own people, a government that knows what to do. We keep saying Buhari, President Muhammad Buhari, is slow. Yes, he's slow, and him being too slow is costing like Nigerian lives. Because, like, if for example, if I have Igbo friends who believe on this tribalistic conspiracy theory that they want to wipe them out, but now it's looking more like it's true. Because if this was IPOB, then we won't be saying this. They would have done something about it. But because it has something to do with the North, they are being like what this senator said, Shehu, I can't remember it.
Shehu Sani.
He said, I've forgotten the statement about insecticide.
Okay, that the president is using deodorants to fight corruption in his own government.
Yes.
But it's using insecticide to fight corruption in the opposition.
I think the same applies to also in terms of ethnic. Because the Northerners have more priority now than any other person. It's even okay. Don't let me go into corruption.
I think I'll actually react a bit to what you have said. Just to build up that the Fulanis are not foreigners in the context of the ones disturbing us here. Because if the government is coming up with that theory that they are foreigners, then it's also saying that it has lost territorial integrity. If the menace is this enormous and they are claiming they are foreigners, then of course I think the whole essence of the federal government providing security is lost, and that's a serious case.
But now they are claiming it's as a result of the grazing routes. The grazing routes are being that's used for cattle migration from Niger down to Nigeria.
Why are we doing rail to Niger? Don't forget, this same government wants to do rail to Niger. What is happening in the upper part, the northern part of the country, is that there's an interface between Niger Republic and those other countries and Nigeria. There are Fulanis who had migrated early, several years back, several centuries back, who are now in Nigeria, and then they have nationalized. I mean, don't forget that the current national security advisor is actually from the man actually schooled in Chad, had his primary and secondary education there, married a Moroccan, and now is our security advisor. You can see the mentality of the government. What we are saying, they shouldn't sell that theory of foreigners to us. A huge number of these herdsmen are from here. They've naturalized. They know the roots. They're not just, that what we are saying, if they should sustain that theory.
Doctor, yes. I may want to disagree a bit because let's agree that the people killing, because the governor of Benue said it. At the same time, I was privileged to speak to a Benue citizen. Now, just recently. You see, most of the people that were arrested, some of them were killed. Some of them were killed, actually. And they found map with them. Many of them cannot even speak any of the Nigerian languages. Now, what happened? I think what happened is this. Before most of this attack, there has to be what we call cattle rustling. Now, the cattle rust, after the cattle rustling, the effect is the herdsmen coming back to attack. And the people that now attack, for instance, this is like what they do is that you now contact the people outside the country to come as mercenary, to come and kill. Because most times, the people killing are not the indigenous Fulani people. They are not the indigenous herdsmen people.
I think I will quickly also engage you on that.
Okay, to complete my thoughts,
yes,
you see, the long and short of this is we are becoming a laughing stock.
Exactly.
For the mere fact that, look at what the president of Ghana said. He said, to complete that statement, he said, this is not Nigeria.
Yes.
And it shows that, look,
there's
what is
complicity.
There's a form of complicity.
Yes.
Now, this is, I think, for any president to, because we are going to keep having this, even bring another president, we are going to keep having this until only one thing is being done, and that is, one thing is this: our borders are porous. And there is, you can practically walk to other country. I served in Taraba. There was a time you will be saying like they say that is Cameroon. You can actually cross. We need to begin to work on this.
I think we need to look at the psychodynamics of the Fulani tribe. They are nomads. They are people who migrate naturally, and you will agree with me that we have Fulanis in Nigeria. And so I was asking a friend of mine who is into this animal husbandry, a professor of animal husbandry, and I was asking him, I said, what is the difference between the Fulanis who had settled around us and these Fulani herdsmen? That I want them to do some study. If we want to understand these killer herdsmen, let's study these Fulanis that are staying around us so that we will actually know. Is it possible for them to serve as receptacle for these killer Fulani herdsmen? Are they in any way linked? And said they are linked. They have a language that they speak to each other. So if they are saying that the ones that are killing are foreigners, okay, and the other ones who had stayed around us for some time are also Fulanis and they speak the same language, that theory of the fact that they are foreigners is indicting. It's a serious indictment. I think the government shouldn't push it too far. Yes. That ISIS are now inside this country and then they're now moving around. It's a serious problem.
Dr. Iwale.
It is.
Dr. Iwale.
Yes, please.
Assuming without considering that these killers are foreigners, does it make sense to establish cattle colonies for foreigners? For foreigners.
So the arguments are quite disturbing. So if we keep allowing them this theory of foreigners, what is happening is that the territorial integrity of this country is threatened.
Yes.
And the president must have to do something very crucial about it.
Okay.
If that's the theory.
Mr. Assis Badmus, sadly enough, the Fulani herdsmen struck in Okeri in Ijebu North local government yesterday. The bonds then Chief BC Road Deepers of Forest Reserve, and that's about 200,000 hectares forest reserve. And this man we're talking about is a foremost industrialist with huge investment in furniture factory. What do you think the Southwest government can do about this?
I think, like I used to tell my friends, the Southwest needs to come together. We shouldn't allow nonsense in our own community. As much as I do not support Fayoshe's approach to a lot of things, in politicizing everything, I think one of the things I support was his anti-grazing law. It was drastic, it was fast, and is effective. I think by now the Southwest should come together and do the same thing. I think by now the Southwest should also unify. Yes, we might have different political dispensation, but we are Yorubas. The Igbos don't. They are all together. Hausas are together. It's only Yorubas that this one would say, I'm not this, I'm not that. I think the Southwest needs to come together, do something drastic about this encroachment.
Yes.
And it has to be done fast and aggressive.
You see, and you know
that we don't take nonsense here.
I know Fayose is fantastic because he came up with his own people to defend the town, which is traditional. It's interesting to also see that APC manifesto, their communique, they're also trying to encourage state police. I'm impressed about that.
Yes.
In other words, some of the things Fayose is doing somehow, they seem to also be some of the things.
They're replicating the same thing.
And he also said, I think there was an attack there sometimes last week. He said he doesn't have any problems about them hanging around. But if you're going to be here, pay 5,000 naira to government and register.
Exactly.
Now, if you're not registered with us, then it means you're a killer herdsman. I think it's technical.
I think,
and I think the government is
back. I wrote that on Facebook.
Yes,
that
come and register.
Everybody, that Fulani, the headsmen, if you want to operate within a state,
yes,
register with the state
because they know the market.
And if you register with the state, then you have everybody knows you.
We can locate you.
They can locate you.
We can monitor your movement.
Yes. Then federal government creating colonies doesn't make sense. It's a private business.
Okay.
My question is this. Where will they stay? Assuming I register 5,000. Where will they stay?
They have where they stay. They stay with their cattle.
They stay with their cattle.
Oh yes, please.
In which location?
In the bush, in that state.
That is colony.
No, that's not colony. No, it's not colony.
No, it's not colony.
It's different.
What is the meaning of colony?
Now, colony is like a deliberately designated area for them.
That is it.
Now, when they come into the state, what we're actually saying, what that approach is also to actually know those who are within our territory, one, so that we can control their activities.
If somebody will come from Niger State,
okay,
and then decide to pay 5,000,
okay,
you will give the person stay here, or will the person still be roaming about grazing? You will say stay here. That is colony.
No. You see, you cannot infringe on the fundamental human rights of people from moving from one place to the other.
Yes,
they move more in the area. Now, the point is this: we are trying to make sure that those who are here, those who are in our territory, they know markets.
Yes, they know.
They go to markets.
Yes.
Okay. Why do we allow them to come to the markets?
The question is that, for instance, if you go to a place that is called Sabo, we can say it's a colony of the northern people, of the Hausas. That is what you have there. So you see, I think it's just basically English thing. It's like we don't want them to come. It's not that they are coming, because I don't want us to look at it because the narrative some people are selling to us is like colonization. No, it's just like colony is just like a designated place that is meant for you. And
how is it different from a ranch?
It's even different from a ranch.
How is it different from a ranch?
Ranch is like okay, I am not. It's like I'm having a poultry.
Okay.
It's like ranch is like, okay, this is where you feed them there. They don't even go out.
Okay.
Feed it as if you have like a fishery, like a fish pond. That is it. Ranch is that, and that's what it practice.
What if that is where we are heading? Because if the colonist thing, if the way you are looking at the colonist thing is going to be free flow and people just move around, then those who are saying register, do you understand what I'm saying? May invariably create a ranch.
No, that is not. It's not about moving around. That is what I'm saying. Okay. For instance, now let's assume in Osun now.
Okay.
You know, say okay, fine, you register with us, but hey, we are giving you a tioni as in like a location in that particular place. This is where you will stay.
Okay. Don't
graze into the town here. Don't come to Oshogbo.
Yes.
Even if you want to buy cow,
yes,
we will come there.
Okay.
And that is a colony there. That is a colony there. Yes. Okay. But that is what we say we don't want. Now, how do we solve this problem? Because for instance, I discover laws have not solved anything in this country. This Ekiti swiftly made a law.
Oh yes.
Recently, they had a clash. They had a clash there.
Oh so, yes, there will always be.
Don't forget, Chief Olufalaye.
The bond is found.
The bond is found.
Let's look at this. Let's look at this issue this way, sir. Before now, I mean, if you go into the interland of Oyo State, like Okiogun area, we've all had Fulani staying with them.
Yeah.
They build houses. They had agreements with the Obas, with the balance of that area, in such a way that they stay within the community they don't graze into people's farmland and destroy their yam. Yet they also have ways in which they also go around with their cattle. For me, I'm interested in how that happened.
This is now that is where I'm going. Okay. Now the reason why I don't support either the law or whatever, the reason is this. I mean, please look at, get my perspective to this. Law has not solved it, because the Fulani have been living in Ogun. The Fulani have been living in Ondo State. Okay. Now, 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, do we have this in our hands? No, the problem we need is more or less like if you start talking about colony and Yoruba people are saying don't come to our house, it's like we are removing the cobwebs. We don't want to kill the spider that caught the cobweb. What the genesis of this is impunity, is injustice, and that is what needs to be done. It's just like, okay, now we have a president who is our own. We can do and undo, and the president has not punished anybody. They can try this when Obasanjo was there, because swiftly they will have been punished, they will have been arrested. And so what I'm saying now is this: we need to put all the laws together, put all the colonies together. It will still happen until there is a reward for punishment.
Okay, and now Dr. Wale, before we go on a short break, I just want to get your thoughts on this. You have just 1 minute to answer that. Is the establishment of cattle colonies the way out? Because some people are saying that the cattle colony has political or economic connotation. So, as far as you are concerned, is it political or economic?
I think economic. Because in as much as we are saying the herdsmen are killing us, we still also derive a lot from their products. And I'm quite curious, if as an academic, to understudy how people have been able to assimilate the Fulanis before now, and what are the factors that is actually aggravating it. I mean, he has made a mention of the fact that impunity is one of the reasons, but I think there's a way in which they can be assimilated. And it will not degenerate into problems.
Thank you.
I think I'm interested in.
You're listening to Thompson and the Gang on Rave 91.7 FM, and I have in the studios with me Mr. Cis Badmos, a private businessman, Mr. Bukola Ido, a development worker, and Dr. Adioye Oyewale, a medical doctor and a public commentator. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
For it. Now you have it. Redeemers University presents 2017-2018 undergraduate admissions into basic medical sciences programs. Our programs include BNSC Nursing, BSc Anatomy, BSc Physiotherapy, and BSc Physiology. Suitable candidates with relevant 5 credits at O-level SSC should apply. And also admission seekers with 5 O-level credit passes in English, Mathematics, Biology, Chemistry, and Physics study for the programs in the College of Basic Medical Sciences. Closing date for all entries 31st January 2018. Redeemers University, winner of the 2017 UNIDO Nigeria National Gold Award, Level 3, Category A. For inquiries, please visit www.run.edu.ng or call 0700-700-8000. Redeemers University, Ede Osun State, running with the vision.
I say there is no need to retreat. Just take care of them. Watch them when they see. Oh, mend them when they say. Save for you and your family. Listen to this special announcement from the government and the malaria partners.
Now that you have received the nets given to you by the government and malaria partners, make sure you and your family sleep inside the net every night.
To protect you and your family from malaria, encourage your neighbors to hang and sleep inside their nets. The more households that sleep inside the net, the better the community are protected from malaria.
Take cover from mosquitoes that spread malaria. Always sleep inside your insecticidal net. The more you use your net, qualifies you for another net.
For a malaria-free Osun, play your part. This message is from Saving 1 Million Lives program in conjunction with Ministry of Health, State of Osun.
No malaria, again, no malaria. Once you have your mosquito net.
Chief
Jeremiah Obafemi Awolowo, GCFR, a Nigerian nationalist and statesman, the undisputable leader of the Yoruba nation, a proponent of free and compulsory education.
Now is the time for us solemnly and truly to dedicate ourselves to seeking the greatest good of the greatest number of our people in Nigeria.
A welfarist par excellence, an epitome of integrity and administrative dynamism. Chief Obafemi Awolowo is not just a leader, but a leader with a difference. Rave 91.7 FM, not just a radio station. We take the lead. We blaze the trail. We make a difference.
Welcome back to the program, Thompson and the Gang on Rave 91.7 FM. Don't forget, stay up with me in the studios, Mr. Cis Badmus, a private businessman, Mr. Bokolaido, a development worker, and Dr. Adeoye Oyewole, a medical doctor and public commentator. Right now, we'll be looking at the APC committee report. The committee set up by the All Progressives Congress to look into the issues of restructuring has submitted its report. The Governor Nasir El-Rufai-led Committee on True Federalism submitted its report to the National Working Committee of the APC on Thursday. The committee recommended fiscal federalism, state police, independent candidacy, and even merging of states. Dr. Oyewole, what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I looked at it. I've not thoroughly studied it, but I see a bit of a blend of what the people want. But I also see some areas that I feel may not fly, especially if you look at the resource control. It's like this resource control still needs to go to the federal government in terms of a domineering influence on the resources that is found in the state. For me, if there's any basis for restructuring or whatever people have been clamoring for, is the fact that each state it cannot be allowed to, source for itself. For me, if there's anything that's going to come out, I don't know what the technicalities are about. When we keep discussing, I think the facts will come out. But the fact is that if I, as a state, can, fend for myself, look for my economic prosperity, and have certain things I pay back to the purse of the federal government, I think that's okay. But I didn't, in that report, I didn't see it come out clearly. Now, there's also the obliteration of the local government autonomy. They actually said it doesn't exist, that in most places in the world, it is a two-tier government that they practice, not three-tier. Now, the fear is that, of course, the local government autonomy has just been passed, I think, recently. So that looks antithetical, and of course, it's the APC that is having the majority in the, in the both chambers. So for me, I think their report is neither here nor there. And of course, remember, this is APC, not Nigeria. I'm sure by the time, maybe if they are courageous enough, this government is courageous enough, they need to convocate another, maybe national conference, which can be quite expensive, and see how this report can be matched, and then see how we can proceed from there. I think that's just what I have.
Okay, let me go to Mr. Bokolaido. President Buhari is not an apostle of restructuring. At least he has never spoken in its support. Does the APC report represent a new thinking?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so, because what is going to happen is what I see that is going to likely happen is first, I think what we need to begin to talk about what instigates this report now. You understand? The timing now. Now, but let's put that aside a bit. Now APC is coming out. The only thing I can see that is different from Jonathan's conference is that margin of state, because Jonathan conference recommended more states, but here they are talking about margin of state, but every other thing remains the same. So for me, why are we going over the circle? Can we just share our political differences, pick that constitution conference report, confab report of Jonathan, dust it, We spent a lot of money. You may not agree with everything that is there, but to a larger extent, the people that were in that place were actually eminent enough. But now you set up a few committees of your party alone. Don't forget the people that were in that conference were the transited party, affiliation. So what are we saying now? El-Rufai committee, I think our governor here was part of that committee. Now they are also, are they going to implement this? And this is where I'm now beginning to ask myself: how are we going to harmonize this? Because even the president is not totally in support of the restructuring, and you are saying restructuring. The president has not ever come out and said, "Look, I support." Even while he was campaigning, say, "Okay, I support state police." Now we are clamoring for that. So I'm beginning to see. I want to wait and to see how this will play out.
Okay, and now let me go to Mr. Aziz Badman. Some people who have the opinion that the APC-led federal government is not ready to restructure Nigeria, that the report of the committee is a trump card for the 2019 elections. What is your take on this?
Well, I would have to agree with them because, like I said earlier, the federal government has not done anything to make us think otherwise. Yes, the president came out and said, if we want restructuring, we should all go to the House to pass it to law so that he can sign. But the thing is, there's a confirmed report currently that he can work on. I don't think, like what he said, I don't think it's necessary for him to now use APC committee. It's just that doesn't even comprise of all Nigerians and all political parties and stuff. It's more like a biased one, and I think it's just a stunt for 2019 if he would want to run, or if APC. Well, for APC, I think it's a stunt because everything is just apart from what, like what he said, apart from the merging of states. It's the same thing as what the confirmed report said.
I think beyond 2019, for me, I also look at it this way, that two factors. The Obasanjo letter is actually a bomb, and it has woken up the government to, of course, it may not be unconnected to 2019 anyway.
Yes.
Secondly, it could also derive from experience of governance. I think for a leader of a government, if people sell an idea to you, leadership anywhere, you may not take what people are saying. But if as you journey in leadership, you begin to, is IPOB today, is Boko Haram tomorrow, now herdsmen, this herdsmen thing has actually brought out reasons for restructuring. A lot of these issues we're talking about, colony or no colony, people are saying that we take ownership of this region, this land, this piece of land is our own. So if we are going to accommodate other people, they need to also do things the way we want it. That's restructuring.
Yeah.
People are just speaking English. That people should be able to have rights to lay hold on their own particular environment. And that's a universal thing. The United Nations recognize that. So if they are telling the government that we need to restructure, they are not saying that they want to dismantle Nigeria, as other people think it is. I want to believe that maybe that was what our leader was thinking of before, the president. But now I think by experimenting 2-3 years with a lot of issues, security report coming in, coming about some of the clashes they are having and a lot of problems that have been coming up, it's like something needs to be done about our coexistence. We need to define and redefine it. Let's look at the terms and redefine the terms. And for me, this is what restructuring is. The APC thing, for me, I think is a step in the right direction. Only that this cannot translate into the government white paper. All the stakeholders may need to also contribute into it, and the issues thoroughly looked at. I don't know the model they want to, but I like the response. Whether it's 2019, whether it's OBJ's letter or wherever, the government is also coming alive to know that this thing they are calling restructuring is inevitable for Nigeria to move on.
I agree with you that this can translate to government white paper, but let's take a critical analysis of most of the stakeholders here. We all have different opinions. Now, number one, the way the lawmakers, the senators, the House of Rep members are seeing most of these things are different from the way the governors are seeing this.
Yes.
And my question now is this: let's go down the lane. Has there been any time in this country that the party recommended for the president and it was carried out? Even the one, this a statutory, constitutionally mandated, constitutionally organized body like National Assembly recommend, the president has not even assented. Not to talk of the one, and they will now pass through the party shifting. I think if they really, really want to get this done, they need to go through the National Assembly or take their report, send it to the National Assembly. Of course, in the National Assembly, there are different parties. Of course, people are represented from every geopolitical zone. Now, why are we now going to be deliberating on a committee not set up by the federal government, but by a political party? We are deliberating on the outcome, and we want to translate that to white paper. I don't think that is likely going to fly.
I don't think it is. But it's a step.
Agree with you too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's a good step.
Well,
opinion.
I think
it's good to spark up the conversation.
To enlighten, to show people that APC understands us.
Yes.
But I think it's
so we should push it. Maybe we should push it. We should keep talking about it, because in Nigeria they know we want to talk.
Yes.
I hope it's not a ploy to just divert us from the herdsmen thing. But we should begin to be more, even we that the polity must begin to seize opportunities.
I think it's a plot to dissociate themselves from the current government.
Okay, in a way, but they are the owner.
Like, if we understand what Nigeria wants.
Yeah.
President Buhari is not listening to us.
Okay. Which is political, though.
Which is political.
Because so that's what I'm saying. There is an opportunity. Nigerians should begin to seize opportunities. Let's push this. If APC is saying this, what next step are you taking about it?
Well, that's true.
That's it.
Well, these people know what they are doing. These people know what they are doing.
Mr. Bukolaido, if you look at the way we practice politics in Nigeria, you discover that the president is usually the leader of the party.
Yes.
So if the leader of the party does not believe in what the party is doing, if the leadership and the party, if they're working at cross purposes, do you see anything coming out of that?
Let me give you a good example. Before the 2015 election, you see a lot of billboards. In the first 100 days, we will create 1 million jobs. All manners of things. Now, when the president got to power, after 1 year, the question was asked. He said, I did not make that promise. My party made the promise. That was what he said. So, there has not been a connection. So, if the president, don't forget, his recent broadcast don't seem to have supported restructuring. He said we only need to restructure our mind and the way we governance. Now, it doesn't seem to support that. Now, the question is that, do we now think it will fly? The only one that can even fly is for them to pass through the National Assembly, and there is a way the National Assembly can veto it if the president fails to assent. You understand? There is a way. But if they are not going through that, it's not going to work. And this is what I'm trying to say. Now, again, I want to see it. I hope it is not a ploy to campaign for 2019. That, look, this thing is on table. If you vote for us again, we implement it come 2019.
So you're saying that the president does not believe in the manifesto of his party?
Not absolutely.
Yes, it's not impossible. It happens. It's a human being.
Yes.
You know, if you look at even developed democracies, you'll find out that look at Obama did not believe in everything about Democrat Party. Trump himself does not believe absolutely in the Republican Party manifestos. So for me, I don't think it's something abysmal. And then we should give it to the president as a human being. But when it comes to party supremacy, which is what I think is going to happen in 2019, people are going to gather together. It's not going to be just one man show again. Even if the president will come back, the party is going to be on ground to ensure that certain things are done. Because they're going to have new people coming in, they're going to have some people leaving, and they're going to reposition. I'm excited that APC for once can come up and agree with this restructuring. Because before now, they've been rather very silent. What they have always said.
They've not agreed.
All the governors
APC produced this.
No, it's the committee.
Yes, now.
So they submitted it.
By the APC.
They submitted it to the National Working Committee.
Yeah.
The next thing is to call during the convention. You understand? That is when they will now agree.
I
just
know.
a committee.
What I'm saying
so
is that
when they vote
what I'm saying is that they're actually discussing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's another thing to actually ignore. Because that's what they've been doing before. So when I saw it, I was excited. I saw El-Rufai there. Oh, yes, that's good. And then it means that you people are also considering the agitations and the reasons why people are saying, let's restructure. Restructure does not mean we want to break away. Doesn't mean we want to destroy Nigeria. We are only saying, let's renegotiate the terms of our coming together. Which this Fulani herdsman thing is bringing to the fore. And a lot of other sundry issues.
Okay,
these are things that people need to
Mr. Okolado, let's look at some of the recommendations of the committee. The issue of state police and scrapping of local government. How strategic are those suggestions?
Well, let me start with the local government. Of course, to scrap the local government, they have to do what is called constitutional amendment on that, because it's right there in our constitution. So you can't scrap it. You have to still go to the National Assembly. But look at it. For instance, now my organization is working on the just amended constitution, trying to push the State House of Assembly to pass it, to support it. But one of the things that was passed at the National Assembly is local government autonomy. You understand? The local and one again is one of the recommendations is that INEC should be the one conducting local government elections. You understand? So now that's the reason why they are doing that is because so that when it is INEC, not state OCEC, when it's INEC conducting it, it will be statutory. Not that one governor will say, no, for 8 years I'm not conducting election. So it will be like, yes, this is the time we are conducting this local government, and it will be right, it will be constitutional. Now, but look at it this way. It's right there in the constitution. The National Assembly is considering it. But you come in now to now say, look, let's scrap it. Then you have to go back to the National Assembly. That's your committee have not even channeled their report through. You understand? So that is why I'm beginning to see, okay, what is likely going to happen here. Then concerning the state police, I don't believe we need state police now. If you want to have state police, I think we better go back to regionalism. Do you understand? We better go back to regionalism, so that if we know we have Western Region Police, not Osun State Police. You understand? Because with this existing structure, it's more or less like you want to put a 54-year-old man flesh, and you put the flesh on probably like a 5-year boy skeleton. It's going to crumble. The structure is not balanced for state police. Or else, for instance, now let's assume during the election we have state police, and the governor. Permit me to use Ekiti as an example. We have state police in Ekiti. Election is coming. Who are they going to? Who pay the? They dictate the tune?
Yes.
You understand? Who are they going to?
It costs the piper.
Yes. Even at the federal level, the police are still doing the bidding of the president. That is why they will still say, look, they will bring federal might. So, but if we go back to our regionalism, where we control our territory. Now, but of course, state police can also work if there is true restructuring. Like Dr. Adeyi was saying, we control our resources, we only pay to the national. But if it's not going to happen, to control our police here, it's going to be, I hope we are not going to use it for political reasons.
Okay, thank you for that. But let's look at some of these recommendations. Do you think they will ever see the light of the day, Mr. Six Badmas?
Well, I don't think so. And to add to what Mr. Bukola said, I think, well, initially I used to actually support state policing. Then later I was made to know that it's going to be politicized. Like it's whoever is in power is in charge of the police, and it's going to be biased. It's just going to be a disaster. I think what he said, that by regionalizing it, it's going to make more sense, and it's going to go a long way. Then about local government election, to cancel the local government, I think it doesn't make sense, because personally I believe the only people that reach out to the masses are these local government people.
They are the closest.
They are the closest to the masses.
But did they really reach out?
But they are still the closest. They don't reach out like that.
Chairman of local government.
Your councillor in your area, everybody knows their councillor in their area.
But as soon as they enter the office, they become councillors.
But they still have this bond.
I think they're just with us. They don't really reach out.
I'm coming. Like, yes, they are with us. Unlike the state government.
Yes.
The state government is a little bit far away. Like, you could still go to your local government or councillor's house and say, brother, whatever, please, I need.
If you are in his party and if he likes you.
Yes.
Even if he is a doctor, even if he's not in your party.
You can meet him.
You can't.
But for instance,
from another party, you cannot.
No, doctor. Yes, for instance, now, the people in the State House of Assembly.
Yes.
They represent a whole region. They are not close.
But they go to their own place.
They go there. For instance,
they know them.
For instance, you can represent like about 2-3 local governments.
Yes.
So how closer are you?
They are quite close. I think
the councillors.
No, you can't. You see, I think it's a delusion to feel that the argument that because the local government is close to us. What I say is this: it could help for more accountability, though, because where there are so many people, I look at Nigerian community this way, or the African community. We've always had rulership rather than leadership, and we've always had people who are elitist, the Oba, the generalissimo, and then the priesthood. They are the rulers. Now, in our history, even before the colonial masters came, we never had anything coming from the masses. Most often times, it is the Oba and the what do you call them? The generalissimo, which is the military person, and then the priest who decided the fate of the community. Most often times, you don't have anything coming from the masses. Now, the local government helps us, if we truly use it, with this autonomy, with this INEC coming to, to be able to hold people accountable. I think what you mean to say is that we can move freely, is that we can hold them accountable, we can grab them.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Rather than one member of the house that we are not going to see, rather than one governor that if you see him maybe once or twice in a year. So for me, I think that's the value, and I don't like the fact that this recommendation is cancelling it, because it will help to broaden and take the essence of governance to the grassroots, and people can hold some people responsible. If I cannot grab the commissioner, if I cannot see the member of the house, I can actually see the councillor. At least if it's time to dodge me.
One of the reasons why they will cancel, we want it cancelled, is because the moment it's being cancelled, that allocation added to the state allocation, and they want to spend.
The governor must.
I want to disagree on what you said about councillors and local government
people strolling to their
closer to the people. I've had a lot of interactions with the grassroots people. I also call myself a member of the grassroots people. And one thing I've noticed is, one thing that is common is that once there's any opportunity within the state, people usually go and meet people in their constituency and tell them, I'm from so and so, please, I need a job. They are currently recruiting, and immediately, yes, it didn't happen in this government, it happened in the last government, but immediately they pick their phone and tell whoever is in charge that I have someone for my constituency, please help them, and they get helped. I have 1,001 cases like that. I believe if this is an opportunity, people that doesn't have access to the state government, at least within their local government, they can be meaningful. Even a normal artisan, probably a bricklayer, can still, if you meet the condition that, like for example, now I'm a business guy, and there's something I need from, like, okay, local government. My area is, the road in my area is bad. There's no local government I can go and meet, and the state will answer me. If there's a chairman or a council, I can go and meet the guy that this is our area. This is what we've been doing to our community. We also need help.
At least we can interact with the government.
Can interact with the government
more easily and more readily.
Yes,
I think that's
okay. Now, let me go back to Mr. Bukola Ido. The point is that state government should be not at liberty to create as many local government as possible. Take for instance, Kano State has more local government than Lagos State. But when if you consider the population of people in Lagos to the population of those in Kano, which do you think should have more local government?
You will say Lagos based on population.
Based on population.
But what about based on landmass?
But is the government existing for? Hold on. Is the government existing for landmass or the people?
Again, don't forget the census figure till today is still being disputed. These are issues, fundamental issues. You understand? Do you know at some point Fashola came out then and said he's going to conduct his own census? The outcome cannot be more than Lagos. That even the United Nations know that Lagos is more. But the census said, look, this. Now, but I feel is, you see, we need to begin to think right, get things done right. And that is where the aberration comes in our constitution.
Okay.
Where on one hand the federal government creates the local government, at the same time you say it's the right of the federal government, at the same time there is also an aspect you can manipulate in the constitution to create LCDAs.
Okay.
So that has been the issue. Okay,
thank you. Let me quickly go to Dr. Adeoye Wale. I need you to respond to this in just 1 minute. Mr. Bukola has talked about the who pays the piper costs the till mentality.
Yes.
Now, regarding the creation of state police, how can this be tackled?
Yes, I think we should just we should strengthen the police system, the police that we have in place, and make them more responsive. Even the police as it is still poorly equipped. A huge number of their vehicles don't work. They don't have vests that for bulletproof vests. Their guns are still not as effective as some of the Fulani headsmen are carrying. So for me, I think they are poorly equipped. They should be repositioned. Their morale should be more boosted, and they should understand. They should be more educated. I think they should flux in a lot of professionals into the police and then reposition it. I think that would help it to a large extent.
You're still listening to Thompson and the Gang on Rave 91.7 FM. I have in the studios with me Mr. Cease Badmus, a private businessman, Mr. Bukolaido, a development worker, and Dr. Adeoye Wale, medical doctor and public commentator. Let's go straight to the next issue. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo on Tuesday has called on President Muhammadu Buhari not to seek re-election in 2019. Mr. Obasanjo, in a special statement entitled "The Way Out," a clarion call for coalition for Nigeria movement, said Mr. Buhari is...
I want to commend the courage of the former president for writing the letter. A huge number of people have bashed him, say he doesn't have the moral right. But I think we're making progress. We're making progress because right from the fact that we have an incumbent president who could actually lose an election and then go home calmly, and heavens did not fall, that's progress. Then, of course, we're also having letters written. I think the same Obasanjo wrote to Jonathan then, but this one is stronger, if you permit me, because it is challenging a former colleague to be able to wake up to certain responsibilities, and then to also illustrate gaps, very palpable gaps that we are seeing in the acts of governance. So for me, I don't think it's dead on arrival. You will see that a lot of things have happened, even in governance, since this letter was written. The government has actually responded, very careful in responding. Some of the issues brought out are issues that the common man on the street, you understand what I'm saying, wanted to say and couldn't say, and the president said it. However, the pattern I don't like is that I was trying to paint a picture the other time that in Africa we always had an elite class, even before the colonial masters came. And most often times, changes in the leadership occurs when there's schism in the elite class, not necessarily coming from the masses. What I want again is the capacity. I don't understand what he means by the third force, but I think if that thing is properly articulated, it could be a template where the common man on the street, let me tell you, people are more aware of their PVC now than ever before. I mean, people are beginning to engage the system a little bit more. The third force, yes, people are complaining it's the old wine and all of that. Some of these things cannot be birthed by just purely young people. There has to be some degree of transition. And if you read the letter properly, Obasanjo is saying, get out, go away from leave the horse, disembark from the horse, be on the sideline, let us guide another rider on this horse. For me, I like the language. It could be a template if it is well articulated for the younger generations to be able to also, self-determine. Because if you keep talking about young people, we have had young people who are governors who are stealing a lot of money. I mean, a lot of people who actually, embezzled a lot of money and run away are some of the so-called young people. So, but this one could just be a model for where leadership from, younger generation can come and then be able to challenge government. So for me, I think it's a very good letter.
Okay, and Mr. Bukolaido, in one of the letters written by former President Olusegun Obasanjo to former President Goodluck Jonathan 2013, titled Before It Is Too Late, he gave Mr. Jonathan a lifeline, but in his letter to President Buhari, he wrote him off. Why?
Well, I think because we look at how will I put it? We look at the the scenario and then two different things as at that time. Number one, you will notice that President Jonathan then, you can see so he was relatively young and he still had the opportunity to redeem himself, But President Buhari is we are looking at a challenge. We are looking at coming age, trying to say, okay, as at that time, you can't be saying before it's too late again to Jonathan. I mean, he said before it's too late to Jonathan. We can't be saying before it's too late. I say, okay, you are coming back to recontest. So I feel, we have two scenarios. So, and I think the best thing for Buhari to do, because he has been president once and then coming now and we are having all these things, but a bit I want to disagree with Dr. Adeoye where he said this coalition is a good development. It's not a good development. For me, it's dead on arrival. Because number one, which is a shame to be talking about third force when we have 68 political parties in this country. 68 we are saying third force. What happened to the rest? Now, of course, I agree, people are more aware of their PVC now. We have 74 million voters. Let's even say this. There is nobody that has been president in this country with 30 million votes. Nobody. So, let's even take 30 million out of 74. We have 44 million. So, if the 44 people, we even spread their vote across, we shouldn't be talking about third force. And the third force are likely coming now. They are now becoming an assemblage of the old politicians. Don't forget the way APC started. You understand? The chunk is good for cycling leadership, just that they are changing position. We are not changing mentality. They are just changing position, location. From one party, they are potting. So I feel if you truly want real third force, or as it were, or change, we need new breed. What happened to people like what is it called? People like Patitomi are still in. They are politicians too, but they are not. What are we talking about? So I think we need a fresh, not the old politics.
Okay, Mr. Aziz Badboss, will you support President Buhari for 2019?
Okay, if you had asked me that question about June last year, I would have said yes. Now, my answer is no.
Why?
And the reason is this. I'm a supporter of Buhari, President Buhari. I voted for him. I really, like my friends used to make fun of me. I'm an Arsenal fan. I've been supporting Arsenal forever, and I've been heartbroken a million times. And the same thing, I now ended up being a supporter of Buhari. It's at times I used to wonder. At times I go to the hospital to check my BP, just to know I shouldn't be fine. This is it.
But you're still fine.
But I'm still fine. Unfortunately, they said I'm fine. Or let me say fortunate, because then I even went. I was like, I'm sure you change this thing. Check my BP. Something is wrong. And I can feel it in my body. Said you're fine. I was like, I can't be fine now. So this is it. I supported Buhari and I gave him a lot of time. I gave him a lot of time and felt okay, he needed time to make things happen. The first disappointment was the ministers. I felt okay, maybe it's a political stunt just to appease his fellow APC members. Then after like 2 years, you're going to kick them out and bring in the real guys that will come and do the work. That didn't happen. The economy is bad. Corruption is worse. I am a supporter of Buhari up to now, but I don't support his government. Things are worse in this government than before, and it's because everybody is hiding behind the curtain of we are fighting corruption. So they know that once you castigate other people, President Buhari would actually probably support you. I don't know how that thing works, but theirs is they try to point fingers and they are doing the same thing, and the president is not seeing them doing that.
Okay.
But it's also
that will take me to Dr. Iwale. Dr. Iwale, is this government fighting corruption?
Yes, there's some activities that seem to look like they actually want to fight corruption, but effectively, I think they have not been able to succeed. Of course, when you have people inherently, even in the what looks like the kitchen cabinet of the government being indicted, it means that the effort has been defeated. You also have issues of contract scams between there was this NNPC issue of some 26 billion naira somewhere. We also had about 50 billion that escaped TSA and a lot of other things, in the system. So for me, how will a government be appointing dead people into boards? For me, it shows a gross ineptitude of governance. And for me, this what gives credence to Obasanjo's letter. For Mr. Idowu was talking about the third force being dead on arrival. No, even Buhari knows that this is a huge challenge because the issues he highlighted are fantastic. Now, look at our country. It's very, very unlike a young person coming up to challenge the government. What has always happened is that we only follow the dictates of the older ones. So if we are having some schism in the elite class and is giving us a template, don't forget Obasanjo has used different kinds of young people in his government. He has had people as young as 35, 39, being either Speaker of the National Assembly, being governors and all of that. And he jokingly said one day that you people say you are the young people. Why is it that you are doing even worse than even the old people? So for me, I don't believe in this new blood or fresh blood or one academic that is somewhere who cannot even win the local government. We have a lot of theoretical young people around who are not sound. I think, pardon? Yes, come on.
I want to disagree with that.
Okay, sir.
I strongly believe the third force is dead on arrival.
Okay.
There is a saying I use a lot. Same feces, different toilets. We are in the same position. APC government failed because we brought the same. Now it's not about parties again. It's about the people leading us, the people ruling us. They are the same. They are just changing their clothes and calling themselves another member. It's still the same thing. If now what Nigeria has evolved to, this is a party member, this is the party I'm voting for, to this is the person I want to vote for.
Will it be that's what Obasanjo meant by third force? That beyond political affiliations, beyond PDP, beyond APC,
beyond any party,
that I'm going to assemble a set of people,
and that is
who will be able to
work.
It's going to
and
work.
The reason why it's not going to work is because of our constitution. Do you understand our constitution, sir?
Okay,
our constitution gives freedom of potting.
Okay.
And that is why a lot of people potted from PDP to APC to join the government. Now, do you even know that if it were left to APC alone, I also believe they would have done better than this.
Yes.
Okay, now they would have done better than this.
Mr. Polito,
you can't stop people from joining APC. So people have to come. For instance, Saraki was a governor under APC for 8 years. He joined APC. He was under PDP for 8 years. He joined APC. What do you expect him to do? You join a party, you are not. Is like he said. We are not even talking about new party because they are all the same. The politicians are the same. But doctor, I don't want us to say because let's try something new. We have been eating this since 1966. We have been eating this kind of people since 1960. I was watching Dr. Doyo Kukwe. He said, when I was in Shagari government, I said, yeah, Shagari government. When I was in Shagari government. So I think we need fresh blood. We've been eating
this
it.
fresh blood is utopia.
Okay,
Yes, it's utopia, but let's try it.
Dr. Iwale, I want to ask a question pertaining to this.
Okay, please.
If the coalition of Nigerians has been proposed by Obasanjo will resonate with Nigerians, who and who should lead instead of old, tired, expired, and spent men and politicians?
Sorry, if you ask me, we have people. Okay, what about Olisa Agbakuba? Was also they were forming a coalition the other time. What about Obieze Kwezeli? What about Frank Nweke Jr.? These are brilliant people Obasanjo used then. But these are the people they won't allow to even get the party tickets.
But to me, I think instead of former President Obasanjo focusing on a third force, I think what we should focus on is probably passing the independent candidate bill. That would change a lot.
I think it has been passed, I guess.
No.
It's not been passed.
No.
Okay.
It's the not too young to vote that was passed.
Okay.
No, they passed it at the National Assembly. Not too young to run.
Not too young to run.
But the independent candidate bill would go a long way. Because even the last election in Kenya, a lady 300 level student in university won, was an independent candidate. She won, I think, one of the seats in our
Is the political culture in Kenya the same as that of Nigeria?
Well, no, I don't think no.
That's what I was talking about.
Nigeria is a very unique.
You see, that's why I'm
country.
That's why I said the issue of the young pattern is utopian. Saying that a young blood, there's no way any young blood will come and govern Nigeria. The templates on ground are mean midwife by some older persons.
Well, maybe I should correct myself. Okay. I don't mean a young person per se.
Okay.
But I need fresh. In age, for instance, now I am not canvassing for him.
Thank you.
But I'm just trying to bring him out as a picture. For instance, if you look like someone like Olisa Agbakuba, I'm not you understand? A bit fresh to that, but age-wise, you can't say he's young. That is what I'm talking about. Not the people who work with Chagari government, who work with
our culture is a reflection.
Murtala Mohammed government,
who work.
You understand, like that.
It's a reflection of our culture. And there's nothing drastic that would happen. What I think could happen is that with an Obasanjo's third force, I'm sure that from the language and the tone of that letter, he's also trying to see how fresh people who had never tried their hands on governance in terms of in large scale will actually come in.
But Doctor, do you think we should not be scared with that Obasanjo?
No. And I mean, it's a lifeline.
I will say this, Doctor.
Yeah.
This is the same person. They said Umoru is sick. He said no, he's not sick. Umoru, are you dead?
Yes.
And you remember that scenario? I remember. You know where we ended up. He came with Jonathan. At the end of the day, he said, this Jonathan is not good. I thought he's good. You understand? Now he said Buhari now. He's bringing thought force and you want us to jump in?
For me, it's just a statement.
I think I would disagree with that. I think I would disagree with that.
Right now, you have something to say?
Yes, I think I would disagree with that. Now, it's not about fresh blood.
Okay.
It's about what you want to bring on board. My economic plan. Yes, Nigeria, we are dependent on oil. What am I going to do to make it work? To make maybe agriculture work, technology work.
That could be what this bringing. The third force is bringing.
Well, that could be the third force. You know, he's a military man. He's a politician. He's very, very brilliant.
I think it's a strong template.
But we are beginning to see the third force. Even the military is the former military man is a spokesperson.
That's what I'm saying. That, but theoretically, we can say fresh people. But in practice, you cannot devolve leadership of a country from the people who had existed.
Then let's now go back to Obasanjo.
Even look at US. Look at Obama. Obama was introduced by this old senator who had been in Senate for almost like 5 times. You cannot separate people who had been on ground from the new blood. What we need to do is to be able to see this thought force and engage it. That what is it going to bring? But to see a complete break and some new young people.
No, we have
to leadership.
We go back to Obasanjo's.
Hold on, please. People have to join this conversation. 0806-867-6165. Are you call 092-427-3808? You can also call 095-648-7177. Or you Twitter those as Rave 91.7 FM. Hello, good morning.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Your name and where you calling from?
I'm Anthony.
Where are you calling from?
Osogbo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead with your submission. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
My name is Mr. Lawal. I'm calling from Otas in Mishubu.
Okay, Mr. Lawal. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm calling from. The topic today is very interesting. Am I still
Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the. I want to speak as regards former President Buhari just letter. In the beginning of his letter, one of what he said is about nepotism. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, go ahead.
Nepotism, that is how is it or not? What I've been seeing is that all the security issues in Nigeria are northerners, all appointment made so far are northerners. Why are we doing that? President Buhari has to change his way of appointment. He said by the time you put your kinsmen, your friends in power, whatever they perpetrate, you won't be able to challenge them, because it means putting your brother in a place of responsibility. Like President Obafemi was right. And during his time, he brought so many people from overseas, Okunje and the like, and when I put that to work with him, he performed wonderfully well.
Okay,
why not?
Thank you.
President Muhammadu Buhari. So that's just my contribution.
Thank you. You're still listening to Thompson and the Gang on Rave 91.7 FM. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and where you calling from?
This is Emmanuel calling from Ileife.
Emmanuel, go ahead.
Yes, I want to speak on the administration of this present government. The issue of colony. You see, this government promises us agriculture, but in my own view, I'm seeing it is diverting it to only cattle colony, because actually it's not pumping money into agriculture. And secondly, the defense minister, I believe he's just defending the Fulani herdsmen. He's not defending Nigeria. Because if he's defending Nigeria, this issue, you would have settled it without even making such statements. I personally would have even think he should be sued for that statement.
Thank you. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Edward. I'm calling from Osogbo.
Mr. Edward, go ahead.
I quickly want to say that there is a little bit misconception about OBJ's proposition. First, I'd like us to know that though this man has been at the forefront of trying to make suggestions of people whom he think could lead Nigeria to the next stage. But if these people fail on their own capacity, I don't think we should blame him totally. Therefore, at this point in time, if he's come with another proposal, I think it is just important for us to see and examine ourselves as Nigerians if it is the way for us to follow. I would also like to quickly say that Mr. Dewu said the other time, talking about recycling people. At any time that there's a need for us as Nigerians to make move, how many young people come to our forefront? How many of those fresh minds are willing to take a position? So you can't blame those that have made themselves available, even if they are old minds. Now there's a thought for us. If you think you have something to do, join this movement and let's see what Nigeria will be in the nearest future.
Thank you for calling this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, very good morning to you.
Good morning. Your name and where you calling from?
Mr. Sunday from Osogbo.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to thank your analysis this morning. They have done a wonderful job. Then concerning the issue of Nigeria, see, when you not address Nigeria as a country, the foundation is not okay. And when you not address the foundation of any issue, problem must continue coming. So, if I want to suggest, I would say that let us discuss Nigeria first. If we discuss Nigeria first, then we will now look for those that will be in the front banner. That means our leaders, the people that will lead that new Nigeria. But as long as we don't discuss the issue of Nigeria Foundation, all this problem will still be coming up. Because what we have today, there is no Nigeria agenda. We have a vision agenda, and it cannot work like that. Let us tell ourselves the truth.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling. I have some messages on a WhatsApp portal this morning. This one is coming from Mr. Law. Good morning. Firstly, I want to commend the analysts. They have done incredibly well. Having said that about herdsmen, I think the federal government has not done well in tackling the crisis. Buhari should have done better in handling the situation. About OBJ's letter to Buhari, former president has the moral right to express his personal opinion about any situation in the country. And what I want to commend is the way and manner the FG replied to the letter. FG played maturity in replying to the letter, unlike how the situation was managed under past administration. Lastly, about the third force, it can never stand in this country as it is today in Nigeria. It is either APC or PDP. This is coming from our Facebook page, and that was sent in by Mr. Law. Okay, thank you for that. Oyewole Jude from Mikiro says, thanks for this program. I think Nigerians need to press forward on the issue. Mr. President, because these Fulani people have been existing in different states since decades. Why now? I think it's because Mr. President came from the same region with them. I think we have to forget the issue of political difference and rise against Mr. President so that the issue will not become that of Boko Haram. Oyewole Jide from Ikirun. Thank you very much indeed for being part of this program this morning. Good morning, Taufik from Ikirun. I think the problem with this government is that the ideology of the party manifestos is different from the present president objective. So APC should give us a candidate that will execute the manifestos. Thank you. Thank you for sending that in this morning through our WhatsApp portal. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. Your name and where you calling from?
My name is Joseph. I'm calling from Malaysia.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to talk about a colonies that you people talk about. These colonies that you are talking about, that they are foreigners. The only thing I know that I want you to